Matthew Stuckey here from Verity Baptist Church Manila and Verity Baptist Church Pampanga, just giving you a quick missionary update. And so we've officially been in lockdown for 1 month now, and we started early in the Philippines with our lockdown. The government put in pretty strict regulations. It was supposed to actually originally be lifted here. It was a 1 month lockdown, but recently they extended it to the end of the month. And so as of now, our lockdown is supposed to be over on April 30th. And so obviously that's made things a lot more difficult. This past week we had 23 salvations, and one thing we've had success at is getting people saved on members of our church have talked to people that they know via video, Skype, and things such as that. And perhaps it could end up becoming a new ministry to try to reach out to people that are acquaintances and people we know. Maybe even having multiple groups, kind of like one person the speaker, one as a silent partner to encourage to preach the gospel to relatives or acquaintances via Facebook. There has been some success with that. And we found in general, though, from door-to-door soul winning, at least here, it's not as receptive as it was before everything happened. It seems like in the U.S., people are actually having more success, and it seems like people are more humble or more, worried, reaching out for religion. So they're interested in those things, but people are actually a little bit more nervous to talk to you, it seems like here. But we're still, obviously 23 salvations, we can't complain about that, especially given the circumstances. We're hoping once the lockdown's over, things will go back to normal in terms of people being in public places, and we can go to parks and preach the gospel to many people. We'll have to see. So hopefully that's going to end here on April 30th. In terms of the sermons, I'm continuing to go through the series on Wednesdays on Revelation. Tonight I'm going to be preaching on Revelation chapter 6 with the four horsemen of the apocalypse, or the beginning of sorrows. And so last week I preached on Revelation 5.5, which kind of gave steps that are necessary before we get to the end times. And I guess I have an unpopular view that I don't believe the end times is going to happen during my lifetime. And kind of some of the reasons why I believe that is people have thought this for 2,000 years. It would happen during their lifetime. And, I think things are going to get a lot worse. I mean, when you read about the beginning of sorrows, which I'm going to talk about tonight, like in Revelation chapter 12, they had to flee into the wilderness when it's talking about that first 3.5 years, the beginning of sorrows. And I'm not sure people realize how bad the beginning of sorrows is. And so I'm not saying it couldn't happen in our lifetime. I'm just saying I believe things are going to have to get far worse, a lot more persecution than what we have now. Because the first 3.5 years are going to be very tough. It's not just the Great Tribulation, that 75-day blitz. It's going to be very tough before that. And, things such as just meeting for church service, being able to have a normal job, and just it's probably not going to be like that. It talks about fleeing in the wilderness and food's prepared and stuff like that for them. So for as Christians, we believe God will provide, but it's going to be a time of chaos and famines and pestilences. So, I don't believe we're at that point right now by any means. I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. It could, but I think things would have to get a lot worse. But I'll continue talking about that tonight as I talk about the beginning of sorrows and the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And then on Sunday, obviously, I preached an Easter sermon. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what the other sermon I preached was about. It was on the coronavirus, the glass is half full, and I talked about how things aren't that bad. Honestly, as Christians, we were able to serve God, at least here in the Philippines. We can serve God freely. We're not in an Arab country or North Korea or a communist country. We're able to freely serve God right now, and obviously we're saved, and there's many things that you can be thankful for, and God will provide our needs. And so anyways, that's kind of the update, and obviously we're just kind of counting down until we get to the end of this lockdown. The last 3 days we've had a pretty substantial amount of deaths compared to normal. And so I don't know, that could affect their decision on whether or not to continue the lockdown. And obviously that's, the government will decide that. And ultimately I believe it's in the hands of God. I believe this is God's judgment upon us. And so whatever the decision is, I believe it's coming from the hands of God. And so it is what it is. Just crying out to God for mercy that He'll forgive us for our wickedness. And anyways, that's the update. So continue to pray for us. And anyways, thank you and God bless.